All right. I got to check to see if the sound's working. If you guys can hear me, let me know in the chat. I'm going to pull up the chat now and see what is happening and if. All right. All right. Sound is on. I don't know who's in here. Of course, I go to start the stream and tech issues galore kick off, which is nice. This week, I decided to add the iPad into the mix so I can like monitor chat and all that stuff. I see an upvote, but I don't see any comments, so I could be talking to myself for a while. All right, Margaret, welcome back. It is all good, you say. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. You know what's funny is this is Stockholm syndrome. I'm going to see if the chat's actually going to pop up on the YouTube dashboard, which I don't think it is. Hey, Teresa from Manitoba, how you doing? I can see the chat in the YouTube app on my iPad. Why would it show up in the live chat window in the YouTube dashboard? That would be crazy talk. That's kind of stupid. So what's going on? Happy Sunday. I'm not a football guy, so I'm not going to be watching the Super Bowl, but I know some people might be, so I figured I'd jump on before. Well, what's the pre-show start at like 1 o'clock or something like that? Like some nonsense, some tailgate party and coverage and all that. So I wanted to get in. I have pure fiber to the home. Oh, we're already going to the question. Sweet. I have pure fiber to the home. 3 gig symmetrical, and I want to know when 8 gig is coming. That is a good question. Here's the thing. Okay, my understanding with 3 gig, because I had 3 gig, 8 gig that had to change. We know you're not one. Not a football fan? Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm not totally sure when that's going to happen. It's going to be like a neighborhood by neighborhood basis, because the way it worked with mine when I was on 3 gig, they had to change something at the CSP on the street. Probably to do with bandwidth, like a switch or something. Here in Manitoba, it's Bell/MTS. Yeah, so I can't even give you anything firm on that. And to be honest, Bell is crying like babies. They're still crying like babies, 2 years later, about having to share their network with Tech Savvy, TELUS, other third parties that want to enter the fiber to the home space. By the way, if anybody was here last week, does the audio sound better, and is 4K available as an option? Let me check on the iPad. iPad says 1440. Oh, no, wait. 4K is there. Sweet. I am 10 blocks away from the data center. Yeah, but there's still, even 10 blocks, it's... Okay, fiber doesn't matter with distance. You could be on the complete opposite side of the city. It's really like every cluster of houses has like switches in their box, like on the street. So, because they're not going to feed a line directly from the data center, like not one line, they have to split it off. But I mean, it's light, it's fiber, so it shouldn't be affected at all by any of the switching. So that's fine. It does sound better, and it does do 4K. Sounds better this week. Yeah, it should. The culprit was a terrible splitter, an XLR splitter for my mic. My mic's actually up here, right? So when I typically record, let me see if I can find it. One sec. Okay, so usually the backwards way that I record, and I don't just want to talk Bell today. I want to talk like content creation, tech generally. But to introduce that, I use these. These are the DJI wireless 2s. I did a whole video about that, and I don't know, maybe I'll throw a link in the YouTube comments. But I do this in a very janky way. So basically, I would plug in this cable. This is a 3.5 TRS to XLR female. So this would go in here, and then this would connect to a Phantom power box that's under my desk, and I would get clean audio in 32-bit because this records in 32-bit. I would get clean audio into this thing, and then I would just sync it after the fact, and then the splitter would go to the camera to give the camera audio for sync. However, the splitter does not like the camera for some reason. When it's connected to that cable. That cable on its own works. The splitter works. The cable directly to the camera works. But when you combine them, it freaks out. That's where we had the buzzing. All right. Hi, I really appreciate your videos when you bypass the crappy Bell/Virgin equipment. Bell thinks I'm running the Home Hub 3000, so I'm good for now. Currently running straight to my UDM. Awesome. Thanks, Actual Marines. Which plan are you on? Are you on 1.5, 3, 8 gig, 500? Curious about that because the UDM, it throttles PPPoE. Eamon on PC, a friend of mine, he was having the same problem, regardless if he was bypassed or not, because he has a UDM Pro as well. So, GNR TV. Okay, so I have bad news for you about the 2.0. In some senses, the 2.0 is worse. I've heard that the PPPoE is throttling. I mentioned this in the last stream, and I should really do a video about this so that this doesn't keep coming up, but I'm going to mention this again. ISP modems are just trash. It doesn't matter if you have the 2.0, the original, the HomeHub 4000, 3000. If you're on Rogers with their Ignite or their, what the hell do they call it? Their modem is weird. All their stuff, all the ISP stuff is weird because it's just like mass-produced low-end equipment. And then these ISPs are going to basically flash their custom firmware on it. And last week I told the Kojiko story, but long and short of it was the UI looks exactly like the Rogers modem on Kojiko, but you couldn't enable bridge mode without calling customer service. A feature that's like built into the stock settings of that modem combo. They just disable it. And then the thing is, you don't really know what other crap they're doing when they flash the firmware. You don't know what else they're putting in. And I know with the GigaHub, or at least the HomeHub 4000, I was getting terrible latency spikes till I bypassed. So, yeah. It only lets Ontario have the new GigaHub. I'm telling you, GNR, you're not missing much. Okay, throttling is it against the law? It's not. Okay, GNR, I hate to break it to you, it's not against the law, and I'm going to dive into that in a second. I'm a musician and I write my own lyrics as a composer on Suno. Okay, so that's cool. I was a DJ for 28 years, so there's that. So, and I still work in the music industry in some respects. Let's see. I have a UXG Max and I'm going to get the fiber cloud gateway from Ubiquiti. Yeah, that's cloud gateway. Telling you, it's the best. Okay, so let's address the throttling because Margaret brought it up and GNR said that it is. Okay. An ISP can throttle their connection if they feel that the overall population is overloading the system, and they do that to maintain quality. So I'll give you an example. I'm on 8 gig, so let's pretend my entire side of the street was on 8 gig. Not forgoing the fact that like fiber doesn't suffer from the neighborhood like using up bandwidth. Like you don't get throttled during peak times, right? So that's not a thing. However, like traditional cable services and DSL, they do suffer from that. So the thing is that if they feel so if my whole street, like my whole side of my street rather, had 8 gig, and my neighbor was on 50 and was trying to watch Netflix and was having issues watching Netflix, just Netflix. It's within the ISP's right for quality of service to kind of balance the network. So there's that. So yeah, throttling is not illegal. Let me see here. Margaret, why did you ask about the throttling? I'm curious. Actual Marines. No, I am subscribed to 500. It's mostly to optimize my UPS runtime and cable. Oh, cool. Okay, awesome. Excellent. Actually, I need to do the UPS thing. I have a lot of stuff to do to my setup. Like, it's good. It's just, it's a hot mess because I've tore things apart to do videos, and now I'm kind of settling on like what I'm going to keep overall. Let's see here. Yeah, so GNR, yeah, as soon as you're able to get 3 gig, you're on XGS-PON. 1.5 and down, you could be on GPON, but XGS-PON was the way to attain speeds beyond 1.5, so 3 gig, 8 gig. A rumored 5 gig, apparently that exists. I'm not totally sure how that works. I know some technicians have told me that they see a 5 gig profile, so that's pretty cool. Let's see. Yeah, it's gonna be quieter today because yeah. It's early on a Sunday. Some people are just waking up, some people are having lunch, all that stuff. I don't know where you guys all are. Like, I don't know how it is in Manitoba, but I know that you could probably realize that it is blasted cold outside and I'm not going outside, so I figured I'd stream. It's fast, like up to 10 gig. You know what? One moment. I want to see something. Will it let me do this? Okay, so I'm going to switch here for a second to my desktop. Okay, so if we look at this, XGS Pawn, this is the AI overview, F that. So 10G Pawn, yes, it's up to 10 gig. However, I believe I have seen conversations about XGS Pawn getting even faster speed. I swore I saw an article a while ago where they mentioned XGS Pawn getting like 25 in lab tests, which is pretty cool. Mine's offered to me on no contract, and I get 1 millisecond ping. Yeah, no, the fiber pings are incredible. Let's see. Is this going to let me open? Let's see. I'm going to switch to desktop in a second. Yeah, so like fiber can be a touch insane. Right? So I don't know if I'm going to drop frames doing this, but we'll run a speed test. If you look here, I can't zoom it in, but I just pinged it 0 and I'm live streaming. This is nuts. Let's see. Yeah, 0 millisecond ping. Look at that. And I'm only getting 7 probably because I'm like streaming here and I've got some stuff syncing with Dropbox on another computer. Like, yeah, I'm using quite a bit. My upload, I'll tell you this, that some of that's going to YouTube. Usually that number is more like 7.5, 7.6. So I'm not totally sure what exactly is happening there. Why won't you switch? There you go. Let's see. I go through times where I'm not getting good upload speeds. I watch a lot of COD players, and sometimes they talk about throttling. I didn't think it was legal in Canada. It's legal anywhere. They can put the language in. So anybody who says that throttling is illegal has no idea. Like, they're not a lawyer, and I'm not a lawyer. So this isn't even legal like speak. This is just kind of common sense. The thing with throttling is, again, an ISP could throttle you to the moon, and then they could turn around and say, oh, we did that because our network was experiencing higher than normal bandwidth usage and customers were having issues, so we've throttled you. Now, whether or not they choose to throttle you because you're abusing the system is a different story altogether. That's a conversation, whatever. But they can throttle you. I don't think you're upload throttling. Well, it depends. What are you uploading? If you're doing, if you're sailing the high seas, as it were, then, yeah, they can throttle that traffic. So you got to be a little careful. I'm not telling you to or not to sail those high seas. But I will say that they can probably see, they may not see what the traffic is if you're using a VPN, but they can see the type of traffic. And if it's something like a torrent, they could, which is annoying because then that ruins it for people who are not sailing the high seas and they're using a BitTorrent client for, like, you know, legitimate file sharing or like downloading an actual Linux ISO, not what a Linux ISO is memed to mean, sailing the high seas again. Let's see here. Yeah, so I'm not going to work at anything up to 10 gig or higher as it exceeds the capability of the 10 gig port on the back of the GigaHub. Yeah. Let me ask a question. Oh, this might piss people off, but whatever. Let's roll. It's Sunday. I just realized my coffee I got from Timmy's is upstairs. I should grab that. Anyway, I'm going to ask this question. What are you using the internet connection for at its peak? Like, what is the highest bandwidth throughput rich application are you doing that merits needing beyond gigabit, 3 gig, 8 gig? I ask this because like my day gig, like, okay, let's be honest. YouTube is not paying the bills. I don't post enough. I want to be way more consistent. That's why a lot of content on this channel tends to start to get focused in the realm of content creation and other tech things, because I love tech and I want to produce more videos. So I can't keep doing Bell stuff. So I have a day job, and that day job involves heavy video editing. Like I've got... Okay, so I actually have 2 of these. This is a Atomos Shogun Ultra monitor with an NPF on the back, so I can record things in ProRes RAW. Those files are insane. If you saw my Mint House video, I talked about how big those file sizes can be. But I'm asking in the chat, like, what are you using 8 gig for? Like, what's the application? VPN I host, Plex Media Server I host, and many FTP file servers. Okay. Oh, man. You sure your VPN's not the thing that might be slowing you down? I don't know if you're using WireGuard or... I'm not, like, super, like, crazy great with understanding VPNs. Plex I know all about, right? I also run a Plex server, right? But it's mainly for, like, my mom and, like, another friend, and that's about it. Like, I don't have, like... I've seen Facebook where people are like, I've got like 300 people on my Plex server and my cable connection is too slow and I'm transcoding to hell and my GPU is like melting. Like I see all that. Okay, so GNR, I'm gonna tell you this honestly. Here's the other problem with the GigaHub 2. I've actually heard that some people are not even able to torrent at all because there are settings within the firmware that shape that traffic, if not outright disable it. I believe when that first came out, that was the thing. I don't know if they're still doing it. Honestly, if you can bypass, I'm not endorsing it. What's the legal ambiguous way to say this? Because I don't want you to like watch my stuff and be like, hey, I should go bypass. Like, look, I'm doing it and it works, but I'm also doing it and running the risk that Bell could shut me down. Like, watch, like the stream just dies because I said it now. And there's some executive watching, like, get him off the internet, you know, whatever. Yeah, I use teleport. Okay, so the cloud gateway, it's great. I'll put it this way: I've had Dropbox syncing at full speed while FTPing at full speed. I just saw myself in the screen doing this because of YouTube latency. That's funny. Yeah, I've had Dropbox syncing. I've had an FTP running. I've had, while playing COD, getting super low latency while listening to like WAN show on my iPad off in the corner. And it was like, fine isn't even the word. Like, I didn't even notice. It feels like unlimited bandwidth. That's the crazy part. Let's see. You said you want 8 gig as well. 3 gig was fine. Like, for me, I notice 8 gig when I'm uploading to my work server because I get like 800 megabytes a second. So I am hitting beyond 3 gigabit. But in like 99% of cases, I don't touch that 8 gig wall. It's just for work I do. So that's why I have it. And also, like, I was able to talk them into like some perpetual discount. This is before I filmed any videos. This was like just, you know, I'm not too tech savvy, but I thought it doesn't matter how much you upload or download speed if your equipment can't handle. In other words, your cable's going into your equipment. Do they make 8 gig wiring? Okay, so okay, let me try to explain this. So typically 99% of houses, if they have Ethernet ran in their house and they have like equipment somewhere like a router and like a switch or whatever, usually that's like gigabit, right? So 1000 megabit or 94, say 100 megabytes a second. Okay, so there are different iterations of cable. So there's like Cat 5, Cat 5e, Cat 6, Cat 6e. Cat 7's not really a standard. And then there's Cat 8, which is like super overkill, which of course, when I threw cables in the wall, I put Cat 8 in the wall. Cat 6 can carry 10 gigabit. Okay. So don't confuse the ISP for what's in your house. Like your ISP can offer you 1.5, but if your equipment at home is only capable of gigabit, you're only going to get gigabit, right? People who buy the 3 gig, there's a lot of misinformation out there. I touched on this during the last stream. I have two 2.5 gig switches, one Unify and one TreadNet. Yeah. So, for example, GNR TV's network can support 2.5 gigabit as long as the networking equipment that is serving it will send 2.5 and that the computer that's wired in can receive it. He or she, sorry, don't mean to appropriate genders here. If they can, I'm going to use they. Oh God, I'm going to get canceled. If they can handle 2.5 on the receiving end of the computer. Like, if you remember, I did my first like brand partnership was with Wavelink, the 2.5 gigabit hub, which is this thing, which still works. I've beat the crap out of this thing, but this port right here is 2.5. See? And that's why I said it, so I don't get canceled. GNR TV, thank you for the clarification, right? And I've been trying to be more cognizant of that because, like, tech generally is a male-dominated thing, which is sad because I do know some women who are like, they'll wipe the floor with me, and they should start their own YouTube channels, to be honest. Like, what the hell am I doing? But that's too funny. Yeah, so if GNR TV has 2.5 as a receiver, then as long as the networking equipment can support it, that's cool. So a lot of cables can do 10 gig. Ultimately, it comes down to the shielding of the cable and the shielding. I believe the rating is defined by the shielding. So like if you're on Cat 8, you've got crazy shielding. And the reason that matters is because the Cat specification dictates the distance. Don't ask me what each distance is for what. I'm still laughing at this. This is too good. Don't ask what distance. This is a Googleable thing. Is that a word? Googleable? You could Google that. Like what specification equals what distance typically. My thing is, if you see Cat 8 on sale and you need to buy cables, buy Cat 8 because like you're not going wrong there. I just thought, I can't believe, hang on, we're going to do this again. One moment, please. Let's go back to our desktop. I can't believe I got a 0 on that. Huh. I'm getting a 0 again. That is pretty sweet. Yeah. You are so welcome. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for not canceling me. I appreciate that. We got 9 people watching. I got only a couple people commenting. Come on, let's go. Nothing. Hey, no disrespect to Margaret and GNR, but like, let's have a full conversation. Let's get an argument in the chat. Let's get TechMixer canceled. Let's go. Outside of the tech issue that occurred when I started the stream, this seems to be going pretty smooth. I'm not dropping any frames. Also, regarding the speed test result, I'm gonna pull it back up here. I'm streaming at 45 megabit right now. I'm uploading at 45,000 kilobit, which is kind of nuts. Yeah, I don't know what that does for. I don't know if it's for the explanation, but yeah, that was to answer Margaret's question about the upward download speed. So it's not 8 gig wiring. It would be 10 gig wiring ultimately, right? So really, like the speeds are like, 10 megabit to 100 megabit, which is like old. Then gigabit was like the mid to early 2000s. And then we started to see, 10 gig existed. This is in the consumer space. Then we got 10 gig wiring. But like, the thing is that it's up to the switches to negotiate. It's up to the switch to negotiate the speed. So you could have 10 gig wiring and use anything from 10 gig down. So you can use like 5 gigabit, which, where is that Mint House adapter? There it is. The adapter from Mint House, not to be confused with Millhouse. You could use that, get 5 gig. You can use the Wavelength 2.5 gig adapter that I have plugged into the iPad here. And yeah, you get 2.5 that way. Let's see. They give me this real nice deal on my fiber to the home 3 gig internet from Bell for around $60 a month. It's similar to what I'm paying. I'm a little bit more, but not by much. I was referring to you. Let's get more questions, comments from not just me and Margaret. Yeah. I don't even know Margaret's still here. Margaret just bailed. Oh, that's funny. Oh. 7067 megabit per second. I laugh every time you do a speed test. I'm working in none of it, and we are lucky to get 0.5 megabit at peak time. Yeah. It's cool. It's a luxury. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like it's necessary. It's a luxury for sure. I mean, look, I can still get my work done on 3 gig, but I mean, I'm on like a timeline, so I like to get things done a bit faster, so I can have more time. And I am sorry, I was helping a friend with a tech-related situation. So Matt, if you're watching this, I'm now replying to your text. Be out of space. Having a Dropbox issue. If you've ever used Dropbox on Mac, it can be not fun. Yeah, I was saying, sorry. So back to Tactical Marines. Okay. Watching on TV and exercising. Hey, it's something I need to start doing. I'm proud of it, but like, come on. I gotta drop the stomach a little bit. Yeah, so regarding the speed test, like, it's cool. Bell Mobility is a different story. Like, I'm in my basement and like I have 1 bar. If you can see this, we're gonna actually use the overhead camera for a second. Yeah, if you can see it, I don't know if this is gonna focus. Got 1 bar, and it's on Bell Wi-Fi calling. Something else I noticed in doing the Bell Wi-Fi calling thing, when I was on Fido being Rogers, basically, their Wi-Fi calling would always be on. And I think it's something to do with the way the Rogers profile was set up for Wi-Fi calling. So I actually had Rogers Wi-Fi calling enabled, but I had Bell at home. It was great. I find with Bell's cell phone service, it's not as aggressive to hold on to the Wi-Fi signal. And that's including switching from the Asus AX89X routers to the Unify E7 that I got from Arc Korea. And what's funny is the only way to make Wi-Fi calling stick on this phone is to actually throw the phone in airplane mode and then turn on Wi-Fi. Not necessarily need Bluetooth, but I turn on Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and it's fine. I don't know what it is about this light that makes me tired, which is probably one of the reasons I don't post as much as I'd like to. But yeah, that's super annoying. So I don't know if anybody else has that problem, but I feel like none of it and some other regions, they really got to get on the ball and get this fiber to the home thing going. There is another company, and I talked about them in the last stream, Telmax, and they're rolling out fiber. They're digging the ground up like now. And where I am, what's the temp outside? -18 before wind chill. Yesterday, I think it was like -36 with wind chill. Just stupidity. But yeah, Telmax is digging up in this weather, and if these companies can just disrupt Bell, because Bell's crying, we're not gonna expand our network if people could just lease it. Well, guess what? Like, it's the cost of doing business. Like, just lease the lines and shut up. Like, just have better service and shut up. There's like, Bell's driving me crazy. So I need a coffee. You know what? Hang on a sec. Let me finish this thought first. I'm hoping other regions in Canada can access fiber to the home sooner rather than later, whether it's Bell or Rogers or Telmax or whatever company's rolling fiber. I'm about to yawn again. You know what? We're going to use my BRB because I need to grab that coffee from upstairs. One sec. Yes. We back. We've got our backpack sized coffee here. XL Timmy's. Let's go. I'll put you over here. Total side note, when I got the iPad, which I actually got last week, that's a whole story in a video, but I got the polishing cloth in the box. So I'm just going to make sure that this doesn't get soaked with coffee, because that would suck. Because apparently you can't clean the Nano Texture iPad with a regular pleb cleaning cloth. That Apple kills me. Yeah, so let's go back to this. So Bell Mobility and Bell Wi-Fi as well. You need a coffee, yeah. Let's see, it's -4 without wind chill. God, -4 without wind chill is like balmy. Yeah. I don't mind you asking at all. I actually want to talk a lot about the content creation stuff. I don't want to just stick with Bell Fiber to the Home. Okay, we're gonna do the explanation of what the hell is going on in here, because it's a lot. All right, so the mic is the Sennheiser MKH416, the same mic Marques Brownlee uses. I don't cuss on stream. It is the wrong mic for this setup because I have noise isolation turned on. I had to turn it on, otherwise you would be hearing echoes for days. Yeah, when I record, I have to like use vocal isolation in Final Cut. I use Final Cut to edit my videos. The camera is the Panasonic Lumix S5 II, not the X, just the original. To get the quality that I'm getting, like I said, this is a situation. You can't see it off camera, but I have another one here because I'm an insane person and bought 2 of them. This is the Atomos Shogun Ultra 6K RAW. So that's what's coming out of the camera. The camera is actually feeding 5.9K into the monitor, and that's going HDMI into the Elgato Camlink 4K, which is right there. And then that's going in. I've got the audio going to a Phantom Power box I got off Facebook Marketplace. Shout out random dude at the other side of town from Facebook Marketplace. And that's sending it right to the camera, and the audio is being fed through HDMI to the monitor. And I do it this way because this way I don't have to play with sync, because it's all synced up in the camera and then it sends it around. It's just easier. The overhead camera, let's go to that for a second. The overhead camera, see, there I am on the iPad. Overhead camera is an older GH5 Mark II, and the reason I have this camera up here is I can zoom and do all that stuff, and it's all nice and shaky. And then, yeah, I have it in manual focus because something that drives me absolutely crazy on YouTube, I don't know if anybody's going to care about this point. I can't stand, this is such an effing diva thing to say, and I apologize ahead of time for how entitled I'm going to sound. When I watch tech videos, let me ask you in the chat right now. Oh, we're going to talk about AV1. Oh, this is a whole conversation. I like the fact that we're not just going to talk Bell on the stream. So please indulge my content creator side, because there's a lot you guys don't know that I haven't talked about on the channel. Like my trip to Apple. My trip to Apple and having one-on-ones with the Pro Apps team. My trip to Apple and screaming at the top of my lungs that AV1 is the future. We're going to get into all that. I definitely want to talk about that. What was I saying? Yeah, so the thing that bothers me, when you're watching a YouTuber and they're shooting B-roll, I'm a sucker for B-roll, okay? I think anybody who's in the tech content creator space is a sucker for B-roll. I've spent a stupid amount of money on equipment for B-roll, which I can't really show on camera right now, but I have like a whole motion control system. If you've seen other videos of mine, I've talked about that. Yeah, I can't stand when autofocus starts pulsing. If you're shooting like, okay, here, I'll show you what I mean. So like, if I'm shooting the overhead, right? Okay, so I'm going to pull the transmitter out. It's not going to turn on because why would it? Hang on. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to pull the transmitter out, right? So let's get it close to the camera. And I'm going to change my focus. Okay. Sorry about the wobble. The whole C-stand could all fall on me at any point. But like when you start seeing this like focus defocus business that goes on, you know, it's a little disheartening to say the least, because like I said, I'm a fan of B-roll, but like turn off your autofocus, like for the love of God. All right, let me go back to the chat here because now I'm rambling. Front camera micro clean, yeah. So so that's what I'm using for all of that. On top of that, if you see me looking over here a lot, it's because I have a 27-inch monitor that I was using on my desk before. I repurposed it with like a VESA clamp, and it's on my light stand. I've got like this big aperture dome like flying at me. I'm using the Elgato prompter right there. Behind the prompter, I'm using a what's it called? A CPL, because when you have a big ass head like I do and you shave it constantly, like you'll get hot spots. I still have one here, but that's because I have the rim light behind me. But if I don't use the CPL, this whole business would just be like, you know, like reflecting everywhere. So we can't have that. Where did I leave off here? I'm in Vancouver because BC, and more coffee. Vancouver, BC. I'm such an idiot. Let's see. I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia, and TELUS now offers 5 gigabit fiber download and upload. Rogers is the competition, and their max speed is 2 gig download and 250 upload. The reason for that is because Rogers is still trying. They're using DOCSIS 3.1, I believe, but DOCSIS is a cable standard, not a fiber standard. Their fiber, they do offer 8 gig for something dumb like $450 a month. I wish I was joking. Oh man, I needed that wake up juice. Let's see. I'm on Suno for my composing and my musician stuff. I also have a green screen behind my chair too with my Logitech 4K webcam, RTX 4060, 16 gig. Hey, VRAM for the win. To do my AV1 L to YouTube. OBS locking me to 2K. Interesting. Okay, so for recording, I go 4K 60 AV1. Okay, I want to talk about AV1. In November of 2023, I visited Apple campus, and as I explained earlier, I yelled at them that AV1's the future. When the M3s came out, they came out, the Scary Fast event, I want to say was like 2 weeks or a week before I went to Apple. So in January, I got the M3 Max. This computer is capable of AV1 decode, not AV1 encode. The M4 Max, same situation. I don't know about the M5. Like, this iPad is an M5 iPad Pro. I don't think it can do AV1 yet. Apple better start doing it soon, because for those paying attention to Intel at CES, their new CPUs, their Core Ultra, is that what they're called? The naming of these things are killing me, but their Core Ultra chips, the new ones that they announced, have AV1 hardware encode, which is pretty nuts because that means it's not going to use the CPU to handle the AV1 encoding. It's going to do it all. Well, it's going to use the CPU, but not the main instruction set. So it's not going to heat up to the moon. Like, what I love about this is I'm sending H.264 4K at 2997 because I don't want to do 60. The S5 II is kind of a pain to do 60, and the Elgato the Elgato capture card, it's limited. But yeah, I'm using, and remember, I'm outputting to the Elgato prompter. I'm screen capturing from the Shogun into the Cam Link. I've got a Thunderbolt dock connected. Display output to that monitor. What's it called? Overhead camera is coming in as well through the Lumix tether. What else? Oh, I'm even capturing with another capture card. I also have my iPad. This is the delay. This is what I'm dealing with. So let's switch back here. If I go here, yeah, all of that. My current CPU usage is 4%. Yeah, it's because the big thing is the media engine inside of the Apple Silicon, and Intel is catching up in terms of that. How it's going to be is another story, but it is a very low cost way to get into AV1, and I think AV1 needs to be heavily adopted. I'm not even sure if Twitch supports AV1 yet. I believe YouTube does now. Let's see. So GNR, I have the 2.3 gig down and 250 meg up as a backup internet failover. Yeah, failovers are dope. It's a bit overkill if you have fiber as your main, because, well, I mean, anything can go down. Like, I had Bell go down once since I've had it, but it was a planned outage. Like, they actually emailed us like 2 weeks before saying, hey, your internet's going to be down from like 2 in the morning till 6 in the morning. So get effed. My PC's a 13th Gen i5, 14 core and 20 thread beast. I'm going to grab a 14900K soon. Sick. My Hackintosh, which is still in operation, is one of those 10th gen 10980XEs with 128 gigs of DDR4. Maybe somebody will give me a kidney for the RAM because, well, we all know what's going on with RAM pricing right now. Let's see. Yeah, so that's so to answer a bunch of questions. Oh yeah, plus FWD, you commented on the bypass video talking about MTU. I'm going to log into my Unify console, but I'm definitely not going to do this on screen because I'm not trying to dox myself. Let's see. I am curious. I don't think I can change anything without destroying the stream. Potential security, blah, 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 blah. What the hell is going on here? Oh, I dialed an IP. That's not my Unify IP. I'm going to have to look into that. That's crazy. So I just got to log in. It wants my Unify code. That's how my buddy. Let me hit you after. This is the amateur in me. I forgot to put the phone in Do Not Disturb. Matt, if you see this, you rat bastard. It's all good. I'll hit him up after. And let's put the phone in D&D. Okay, I need to verify so we can look at this this MTU situation. So I'm going to pull up the comment from plus FWD because I am actually very curious. Choose an AI chatbot to use. No, you know what? Let me do that now. I want to disable AI because it's so annoying. AI is everywhere. It's in your browser. It's everywhere you want to go. All right, whatever. Go away, AI. All right. Unify sisters and brothers right here. Okay, so I want to pull the comment. I'll put the comment on screen in a second. Let me just pull it up on the iPad. Here, we'll do this. Okay, so I'm on the channel. My notifications. Okay, so plus FWD said physical WAS 110. Okay, did you tweak the MTU on the UCG fiber to prevent packet fragmentation? I didn't tweak anything, to be honest. I'm going to look at it now. Let's switch back to desktop here. See what my MTU is. Again, I'm not going to change anything because it's going to break the stream. So we are not doing that. Let me pull the chat back up here. Yeah, plus FWD. Let me know if you're still in the chat because I am curious. I'm going to guess it's under ports. I don't dig into Unify enough because I got it working and I was like, I don't want to touch this. Oh my God, AI chatbot, go away. Okay. Let's see. Where are my ports? Client devices ports. There we go. WAN port. Activity log, SFP. Okay, can we give me some? I don't know where to check the port for the MTU setting. I don't think it's going to make a total difference on my end, to be completely honest. Yeah, speed tests on fiber are dope, GNR, but if you use the Unify console, just be prepared that the number is going to be way off. Like mine will do 4 gig. It doesn't come close to the 8 gig. Yep. Plus, there you are. Okay, awesome. Okay, I don't want to share my desktop because I don't feel like doxing myself this Sunday afternoon. But I am curious about the MTU settings. I'm just trying to find them. Networks, no. Internet, probably. No, we're not going to apply changes. I am curious if it's going to make any kind of difference. Although, I'll be honest, I haven't tweaked anything. I left it alone because everything's working and working very, very well. I haven't seen I haven't had collisions or weird network stuff. Also, I saw in your comment you wrote, let's see here. Let's see, physical WAS 110, 8 for PPPoE. See, I don't use VLAN 36 because I have the app. I just use the app. Internet LAN at 10G, 1500 or 9000. Okay, 9000 is jumbo frame. I am not using jumbo frame because I noticed some things start acting up when I use jumbo frame. I tried it. There are a couple of article. I'm gonna jump back to that in a second. Yeah, I don't use jumbo frame because I have a couple devices on the network that act really strange when jumbo frames are enabled. I'll eventually replace those devices and then maybe I'll try jumbo frame again. I want to get a NAS, a proper. And when I say a NAS, I'm not just talking no offense to Ugreen, not a cheap one or a small QNAP. I'm talking a 12 bay with 30 terabyte drives and 4 NVMEs used up, and maybe I'll do an SFP 25 gig through the wall to the studio and still have it on the network somehow. I would go a little crazy. If I'm gonna buy it, I'm gonna buy once. All right, so let's see. Arctical Marine says uptime, WAN 1, Bell, 100%. It should be, yeah. WAN 2, Starlink at 99.8. That's interesting. Somebody last week was asking me about doing Starlink related content. No, it's not something I want to do. If I'm being completely brutally honest, it's just not in the cards. I gotta run as my daughters need mom. Take care, techie. Oh, thanks, GNR. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for chatting. Yeah, have a good one. Um, yeah. I wonder if you're raising tech daughters. We need more females in the tech space, like honestly. Plus FWD. So, where am I looking for this? Because I haven't dove into Unify since I set all this up, and I left everything mostly default with the exception of the SFP port. I set it to 10 gig FDX, I believe it was. I'm trying to see where would I change. Okay, so I see jumbo frame here. Global switch settings. I don't know where the MTU settings are. Dashboard. Here's the thing. I can't change it on screen if that's what you're going to say, because, and I'm not going to dox myself. Yeah, I'd love to use jumbo frame, though. Let's go back to the wake up juice. By the way, plus FWD, it was earlier when you asked about the camera and the mic. I'm wondering if, oh, it's CLI. Okay. Hang on a sec. Let's see. So I actually use CLI into the Unify to check the temperature of the SFP, because when I got the Cloud Gateway, it would tell me the SFP temperature. Since I've had the Cloud Gateway, after the first network update, it broke the temperature reading in the UI, in the GUI. So I have to do it through terminal. It's super annoying. Okay, so interesting. Maybe I'll experiment with that when the stream's over, but I'll take a look at that. So you're suggesting, as per your comment, let's see if I could. Why would this work? Hang on. You're suggesting, for my case, VLAN 35 1508. So 1500 for the payload, plus 8 for PPPoE. I could try it. I mean, I have nothing against trying that. Yeah, I think that could work. When you set up Unify to bypass your Bell router, does it still give you Bell phone and TV? Husband question. Okay, that is a complicated. I have heard different versions of this. DJ Gurr, who actually was basically involved in the firmware, if not the creator. I don't want to misquote that, but I believe he's doing something where he's got his GigaHub in service just to get TV and phone, but he's bypassed other. I don't know how he has that wired or set up, but yeah. Plus FWD, definitely, I'll give it a go. Yeah, I don't know if you can do that yet. You're honestly, I'll check Discord. You know what? Hang on. I put the phone in D&D and I just realized my buddy's stopped texting me. It's fine. I'm checking Discord. I want to see. Where's the bells? I was going to say subreddit. Where's the Bell Discord? TV. Let's see. TV with the WAS110. So someone wrote, using the GigaHub for TV and the WAS110 for internet. Not sure how exactly this works with only connection. You connect. Oh, you know what? Here, let's Margaret, I'm gonna do this for you. One sec. Let me open Discord here. And I'm gonna pull up the chat. Again, I'm not endorsing this and I'm not recommending anything. I'm just trying to get a scope of what's possible. So what I just found. Okay, I'm in general. Give me one sec. Sorry, me and Discord haven't been getting along lately. WAS-110 TV. I'm going to switch to the iPad in a second. I love that I searched this on Discord in the iPhone app, but the iPad app is like, nah. Oh, it's in XGS Pawn. That's probably why. Okay, let me search there. WAS-110 TV. We are finding nothing. The iPad app is useless. I really want to find this. Hold on. See, I don't have TV service through Bell, so I can't give a definitive answer on this from my own experience. Okay, the only message that seems to be pulling up for some stupid reason is this one, where it says, I could be wrong, but I think if you are bypassed, you could potentially put the GigaHub after the WAS-110, and your TV should work. Sure. Let me go back to chat here. About the SFP temperature, I already went over one SFP module 2 years ago. Bell technician went to change it. I think it was running too hot. After that, I had a small fan to my network rack. Yeah, so here's the fun part. I actually bought a fan off Temu because my SFP was running at like 67 in the summer. I put it on, and within an hour, it dropped to like 39.5. Like, it wasn't even close. Fun fact about the SFPs, because I think I mentioned this in a video. I feel like I did. I broke the stupid heatsink on the top of mine. So I had to go on Amazon. I found thermal glue, not just paste, but glue. And I clamped it for I had to rerun my GigaHub for a little while, Home Hub 4000 for a little while. I clamped it for 24 hours and let it settle, and then I put it back. But I noticed the temperatures were like 3 degrees lower after reseating the heatsink. That's a sentence. Let's see. Jump to message. This is from May of last year. Okay, I'm going to try to give you overhead so you can see what I'm seeing. All right, so using the... I don't think this is going to work. This is... Oh, can we all read together? We can. Okay, let's try to read this. Using the GigaHub for TV and the WAS-110 for internet. Not sure how exactly this works with only connection. I'm assuming they mean only one connection. You connect WAS-110 to the switch router. How do you daisy chain or connect set up the GigaHub to use TV with the bypass already done? The 10G port is the WAN when no fiber is connected. Oh. Okay. Interesting. All right. So, I mean, it's possible, but is it worth doing? That's a whole other question. So yeah, Margaret, I really hope that like research did anything. Plus FWD. Okay, so here's my question then. Oh, I'm gonna save these commands. Let me screenshot this so I can look at it later. Yes. Come on, iPad. By the way, this is a new iPad from last week. I haven't had a new iPad since 2014, so this is a very different experience. All right, so I see the command lines. PPPoE set. Okay, cool. Awesome. So wait a minute. Let me ask a question. So VLAN 35, I didn't actually set because the SFP it's preset. You don't have to set the VLAN in UniFi. It just works. You just have to do the configuration on the SFP in terms of your credentials and all that wonderful stuff, or your profile and all that stuff, and your credentials you do through PPPoE on the cloud gateway. Okay. I am going to verify the instructions, obviously, but are you running TV as well? Margaret asked. Like, so are you running TV alongside of a bypass, or are you just going home hub / gigahub into the cloud gateway and then adjusting MTU that way? More coffee, please. By the way, I also wanted to ask outside of the topic of like fiber, plus FWD. I guess it's plus forward. The coffee's kicking in clearly. I'm gonna call you plus forward because that makes sense. Are you a content creator? I asked because you had originally asked about the setup, so I'm just curious about what you are into in that respect. As I try to fix my overhead focus, which yeah, this is being a nightmare. Just fixing it so that way I don't just blur things to oblivion when I switch. I love that there's like super chat goals to try to monetize. Like, I'm not doing the stream to get money from you guys. I'm just doing the stream to like stream. I do things like this to see if I can do it. Sound quality and video quality still good, by the way. I don't see any drop frames, so I'm going to assume that things are fine overall. I want to wait for stuff to come in. Let's check that. Okay. So there's another topic I actually want to talk about. I don't know how much you guys are going to be interested in this, but I was talking about Prompter and the amount of dust that's on this thing. This is the original Elgato teleprompter. I have the XL hooked up to the camera straight ahead. That's why I named this stream Let's Talk Prompter / content creations, Bell, whatever. All right, quality is perfect. I am. Oh, awesome. Hang on. What kind of content do you create? I love YouTube's UI. Drives me crazy. I love this. Hang on. Let me show you what kind of stupidness we're dealing with here. Look at this. So if I click, I'm using TV. Okay. Let's see here. You are using TV. I can pin your message. I could report or remove you. Oh, it's right there. Go to channel. I'm blind and need more coffee. All right. I don't know if you were saying like, okay, yeah. I thought you said you were a content creator, but you meant like you're using TV. Or Margaret, there answers your question. That's pretty cool. Are you bypassed? Or are you doing this like daisy chain Bell equipment / UniFi thing? I'm glad the quality Actical Marines. I am so glad the quality is good. Last week was a hot mess. It was stuck on 1440p, which I found out why, because it was set to low latency mode and YouTube doesn't get down with that for some reason. I can kind of understand that, but the audio was just trash last week, so I'm hoping that this got solved. I don't know why I'm sitting like this. Yeah. Yeah, so very, very happy there. I gotta film more videos. I've got a couple of things that I've written that I want to get done. Yeah, I know you guys are mainly here about the Bell content, but like there's a lot of like content creation and just tech stuff in general I want to review, including this iPad, because I have some thoughts about this thing. Quality better on camera than in person, keeps that shine on your BTL custom. All right. I don't want to cuss on stream, but this guy is a total dick. All right, so your bypass. So you don't have, so plus forward, you don't have the oh, BTL. Sorry. So plus forward, you don't have the GigaHub in there in like at all. Like, so it's probably sitting on a shelf somewhere. How hard is that to do? Is that a very hard process? Or like was it like could Margaret figure that out if Margaret bypassed? And again, I'm not endorsing this. I'm just saying if you choose to. BTL Custom, here's a fun fact about BTL Custom. Like I said, he's a dick, but no, he's great. His name's Jerry. And Jerry did a lot of stuff in the room that I'm sitting in to make this way more usable in the tech YouTube space. So big shout out to him. BTL Custom. We are all bypassed here. Nice. Hey, quality is unreal. Why, thank you. Appreciate that. Keeps that shine on your head. So you missed the comment, BTL, or I'm just gonna say Jerry. F it. Jerry, you missed the comment earlier. I'm using a CPL so that like the shine on my head is from this rim light that's behind me, right? Like if I don't know if I can block it. Yeah. That's from the light behind me, right? It's a little difficult. You got to be comfortable with CLI or command line interface and troubleshooting. Yeah. That's the thing when you bypass in general is like it's a lesson in patience, if you will. But anyway, yeah, we're talking about the shine on my head. I'm using the CPL because I've got the lantern in front, right? So it's like a decent glow. If I took the CPL off, they use CPL filters on lenses so that way you don't get reflections on cars and water and stuff like that. So I was like, well, wait a minute, I got a big effing dome. Let me just put a CPL over it. And it got rid of the hotspot. So that now lives on the camera. Logging is very helpful. Yes, logging generally when you're doing bypassing, anything tech related, if you could access a log, like OBS, yeah, great shine. Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Head and Shoulders. No, I'm an idiot. So in OBS, when I was troubleshooting stuff with the stream, not just the audio stuff from last week, but just in general, like messing around, the log file comes in so handy. I like during the pandemic, I was DJing a lot, streaming, and Duke said, "Hey, what's going on?" Says, "Hey, Mixer." Hey, Duke. Yeah, so the logging came in really handy to troubleshoot. Like I was using my my Hackintosh to do some of the streaming, and the GPU was acting up, and I couldn't figure out why the computer kept rebooting and crashing like midstream. I also had a very different setup then. Now I could figure it out. But again, Margaret, if you're going to be doing bypassing and stuff like that, like get ready to have to be ready to put your GigaHub or HomeHub back in the mix. Because things can and probably will go wrong. Once you get it going, though, it is fantastic. That's just as long as Bell doesn't do some stupidness and disable the ability to bypass, which... Yeah, Bell, don't do that. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, it's okay to be not a content creator, by the way, plus forward. Just a geek with an interest in hardware. Believe me, Jerry will tell you I am ridiculous. Like I go a little overboard. Like, the amount of gear I have for this YouTube channel and I've made very little money from it is stupidity. It's because of my passion for tech generally. But like the Stream Deck. Now, I don't stream very often, so what would make me buy a Stream Deck XL? Well, the thing is, I use this for video editing. I programmed a whole bunch of stuff in Final Cut Pro that has a totally separate profile. And then I programmed like a ton of macros. On macOS, I use this app called Keyboard Maestro. And Keyboard Maestro is insane. Like, it's nuts. Rob87, let's see. Yeah, so I'm with you. Like, I wasn't doing YouTube until like the last couple of years, and even then I barely post. So this live stream is in an attempt to be more consistent. Let's see. Hey, so this is Rob87 says, hey, I have Bell 3 up, 3 down, and advanced DMZ right now, but I'm moving next month and I'm thinking of doing eBox right into my UDM SE and keep it simple. Thoughts? Okay. I'm not sure if eBox does PPPoE. Advanced DMZ still creates kind of a double NAT. Although you don't see it, apparently it does. Like, I got that when I was running Advanced DMZ. I was having very weird Xbox problems, even though it said like my NAT was open and all that. But like, I would get these random ping spikes. To keep it very simple, if eBox will give you, well, first off, eBox is going to give you IPv6, which, I'm jealous. So, if it doesn't do PPPoE, I think eBox might, or is it Distributel? One of them does it. eBox, PPPoE, or DHCP. The reason I'm asking is because PPPoE uses unnecessary overhead that like a lot of the all the Dream Machines have as of right now. All the Dream Machines have problems processing PPPoE at speeds beyond like 2 gigabit. eBox, Fiber to the Home, and DSL services typically use PPPoE. Yeah, according to this Reddit thread. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it does use PPPoE. Okay, well, you said you're going to be doing 1.5 or 1/750. You should be fine. I feel like you're going to be okay. Yeah. So Rob87, I hope that answers your question. Yeah, you should be fine because the UDM, the SE should be able to handle that. Although it might run a little warm. Let's say this. Honestly, the Cloud Gateway Fiber, Unify doesn't even pay me, man. F these people. I need to get a brand deal from them and just sell my soul to Unify and just sell Cloud Gateway Fibers out the back of a trunk. Give your grandma this, like, just sell to everybody that, because honestly, the Cloud Gateway, I can't believe the price point, what it offers, and how much better it is than all of the Dream Machine products. And at its size, it's incredible. So if you really want to, God, I hate this term. I hate buzzwords. Future-proof yourself. Cloud Gateway, man. That's, Actical Marines. I didn't activate IPv6 yet on my setup. Sorry, I'm not reading it in order. If I skip the chat, I'll get to it in a second. Yeah, plus forward. Yeah, it seems like it is. I know. But they have IPv6, so I think they're doing like DHCP v6 for IPv6 and then PPPoE for IPv4. I don't know. It's stupid. Okay, let me go back here. Where was I? Okay, so Rob. Yeah, I answered Rob's question. Resetting the SFP is a blast. Yeah, about that. That 49-minute motion picture of a video I did with the bypass. I probably spent 3 hours resetting the SFP so I can do the stupid video. And I didn't do the video to like get popular on this topic because like I'm kind of burnt out on this topic. I was already burnt out on this topic before I did the stupid video, but I thought, you know what? Like outside of the wiki, like I kind of wanted to make a video walkthrough. Hey Rob, no problem. No problem. I wanted to make something to walk through because yeah, it's a little outdated. There are some different steps, but it did help the Discord community and those who wrote the wiki and contributed. It helped them to figure out the pain points. Like for some reason, I could not log into the cloud gateway with their instructions for some reason, but I think they realized what the issue was, and they were like kind of happy that I pointed that out. So that was cool. I think Ebox and Primus are DHCP. Well, I'm not sure about Primus. But the latency is about 10 milliseconds higher than Bell. Oh, really? I did not know that. Plus forward, that's interesting. Duke Seb says, I don't know that they have the ability to kill the bypass. Same. The only way, so I had a Beltec check. Haha, I rhymed. God, someone get me out of here. I had a Bell technician take a look at, that time I didn't rhyme. I had them take a look at my connection. And what they could see on their end is it looked the same. Do I want to say this on stream? The way you can tell. There's a way you can tell. You know what? Let's split the difference. I don't want to be the reason that this gets killed. I'm not going to say what it is. But they can tell. There's one or two things in their portal, like their backend, that they can see. Not that you're bypassed, but that you're definitely not using Bell's equipment. So I guess that you're bypassed. Yeah, that would have sucked. Let's not get everybody who's bypassed disconnected. Let's not do that. It's Super Bowl Sunday. I don't watch football, but it's Super Bowl Sunday. Let's celebrate something. Yeah. I didn't activate. Okay, Actical Marines, I want to ask this. I hope you're still in the chat because I rambled about all sorts and lost continuity with the chat. If you're on Bell, where were you again? Because I don't think IPv6 is working yet. Unless you're on Virgin or on Ebox or on Distributel or on... You get where I'm going with this. Bell Business, but Bell Residential, they still haven't rolled IPv6. I've heard that some technicians have seen IPv6 addresses on GigaHubs and GigaHub 2s in like sporadic situations, and then they disappear. Did you close SSH post setup? Yes, I did. Yeah. So in Quebec, is it MTS? You guys might have V6. Basically, Ontario got screwed. I feel like Ontario got like totally screwed with IPv6, which is dumb. The reason I want IPv6 is for like gaming. I don't want to deal with network address translation anymore. If you watch the 49-minute video and my totally awful explanation of network address translation, you know, you don't want Grams watching the pornography. If you haven't seen the clip, it's in the video. It's stupid. I'm an idiot, but yeah. Oh man. Yeah. BTL Custom still here? Did he dip? Like, he's probably texting me. My phone's in Do Not Disturb, so no, he's not texting me. That's because I called him a dick. Now he's all mad. Yeah, I closed SSH post setup, but I mean, I'm gonna reopen stuff so I can try the command set that you sent. Again, I'm gonna do my due diligence and research that first before I just go pasting commands I got in a YouTube live chat. No offense, but that's probably the way I'm gonna go about it. Yeah. Everybody on PC in here, or are there some Mac users? I'm curious about that too. Because I realize that when I post content that doesn't have to do with Bell, I'm pretty sure I'm alienating a ton of this audience by posting about like Apple stuff. Um, I'm not against Android at all. I have nothing against it. I just think that for my use case with the video stuff that I do for my day job, I need Mac OS and I need certain things that are very hard to do on Windows that are like 2 clicks to pull off. All right, Duke Seb's on Mac. All right. Are you on Mac OS Tahoe? Yeah. My Starlink has IPv6, but using satellite for gaming, there's going to be no point. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It's like headshot. No, wait, I've been dead for 5 minutes. Like, it's not. Yeah, you're not using Starlink for gaming. I mean, you could probably do like some not like FPS game, like not first person shooter games. Like you're not. That's not reasonable. Yeah. So Duke Seb, which version of macOS are you running? Because I refuse to run Tahoe. I am in iOS 20 or iPad OS 26 hell on this iPad, and I'm on iOS 26 hell on my iPhone. But I live the Sequoia life on my 2 Macs because one, my Universal Audio sound card apparently has a lot of problems in Tahoe, so I refuse to update. But I spend a lot more time in Linux. I spend a lot of time in Terminal. Yeah, isn't there like a fork of Linux now that can boot on Apple Silicon? I feel like I saw something the other day. I wasn't researching this. I just happened to see it. I will say this, that when Apple products just work, holy crap, they work well. Like I'm not signed into my daily driver profile on this Mac, but when I flip accounts, the iPad comes up and I can control it like no problem with the trackpad and everything, and I can like my ADHD brain is all tickled because I can literally, you know, run a podcast on my iPad in the background while I work and adjust volume and stuff like that. But it's in iPad OS, and then I can dual monitor and work. It's pretty cool. I'm running Sequoia on my 2019 MacBook Pro. I just got an M4 Max back in November because it was released in 2020, but Apple calls it a 2019 because it had an AMD 5600M GPU. It was the very last Intel MacBook Pro. I got replaced under AppleCare because the keyboard, I don't know if the cable kept like breaking or something, but like I would lose half the keyboard or like it would just die completely. And I had to send it in like 4 times. And I renewed AppleCare twice on it because it was my DJ computer. And again, if you didn't know from other videos, I was a DJ for a very long time. I still do the occasional gig, but it was my DJ computer. Are you in the Proxmox world yet? Not yet. Sorry, let me finish this. So the 2020 was an Intel machine. So that was like the June that it came out before the first Apple Silicon MacBook came out in like October of that year, October or November. So anyway, that computer had 64 gigs of RAM and a 4 terabyte drive because you needed more RAM. And I like to store my music internally. I don't like using external drives, especially at gigs, because, well, if BTL Custom's still in the chat, he'll tell you my experience with external drives and DJ gigs. It's not great when you introduce a lot of bass and cables. And at the time, mechanical spinning drives, that wasn't a cool thing to have at a gig because when it would die, and it did a few times, it's not a good look to the audience. It's definitely not a good feeling. So yeah, I ended up storing everything on there. But anyway, Apple replaced that computer with a M4 Max 16-inch with 64 gigs of RAM, 4 terabyte drive. Yeah. And that's like, that computer is actually like on my desk plugged into a CalDigit dock. And that's like the day computer. Okay, so I used to be a Mac user, but they are too old now, so I install Linux on it. Hey, I get it. Yeah, I have a Hackintosh. It's stupid powerful. Like it's actually it's like a power disaster. I definitely got the deal. Yeah, the Hackintosh is a power guzzler. There's a 6900 XT in that thing, an AMD Radeon, what was it, a Sapphire? Toxic Air Monster on box type of video card. That's what's in there. It idles at like 150 watts, which is absurd. Where like I think the max power draw on the M4 Max is like 140 watts or something along those lines. Incredible. Are you in the Proxmox world yet? Not yet. If I had more time, I would have dove into it. I think when I get more time, I'm going to jump into Proxmox and, all that wonderful stuff. And yeah, I don't know if I got a deal. There was a lot of problems. The first time the keyboard really died. No, sorry, the second time. I had a gig right by the airport, and it was a corporate gig. And what happened was, I was like, okay, I knew the keyboard was acting up around October of 2024. Hackintosh is on Sequoia. It's fine. It works fine. I had to run OCLP to get my Bluetooth and my Wi-Fi to work, but it's fine. It's all signed into iCloud as well, and I modded the board. It's one of those X299 Sage dual 10 gig motherboards, and I actually booted up some release of Linux, and I changed the values on the Ethernet ports so that they come up as Intel cards. There are Quantia chips, I think, but they come up as Intel and macOS, so they just work. And then I bought the Gigabyte Thunderbolt 3 adapter, and then I installed Windows 10 for about 15 minutes so I could literally install the firmware update so I could flip it over. And then I did the JTAG connection where you connect it to USB and you reprogram the card so that it thinks it's a genuine Thunderbolt card for Mac. Uninstalled Windows off that like USB external, and then I just, put the card back in and put it in slot 4 of that motherboard, and everything worked. I can hot plug it. It's cool. All my OSs are up to date. Well, up to date security wise. I'm not running Tahoe. It's like in my constitution, I am not running it. I don't know what I'm going to do in September or October when macOS Name the Next Mountain comes out, or National Park, or whatever the hell they're doing. But, yeah. Let's see. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with the Hackintosh because that's a very beefy computer. It's such a power draw. I mean, I'm pretty sure if I pull out the 6900 XT, it's not going to be like crazy. But it's still not an efficient machine. Ideally, I want to buy like a QNAP. Like, I don't want to go Synology because they're so wishy-washy about their drives, but I want to buy a QNAP and probably like a decent GPU for it and run Plex off that, and then archive my projects, like my YouTube stuff, to that as I'm producing more. The plan was to film a video yesterday. That didn't happen. That was a hot mess. So, yeah, that's the Mac world. Okay, I have a question for everybody in the chat. Seeing it's a little quiet, but let's see if we can get a conversation going about this. In terms of YouTubers using AI for their content, where do you draw the line? Where do you think it, and I'm not talking slop, but I'm talking like in your production workflow. And Plus Forward says, what's kind of silly? The top end Ubiquiti EFG gateway is 2 gigahertz, 18 cores, no PPPoE, hardware offload in or multi-threaded PPPoE. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Yeah, let's jump back to that for a second. Unbelievable that the UDM Pro, and you know what's sad is people paid so much blasted money for the Dream Machine and the Pro, the Dream Machine Max or Pro Max, and everybody just followed Apple after everybody made fun of Apple for the naming. But anyway, they paid all this money for this Unify equipment, and yet, then they're like, oh yeah, so we're going to put out this device that's just a little bit bigger than an iPhone Pro Max variant, and it's just going to, school everything that's in our lineup because it has that one feature to offload PPPoE to hardware. Unbelievable. Food for thought for saving money. I'm assuming that's aimed at Rob, I want to say. Oh yeah, like if you're in the market for a UDM Pro, just get a cloud gateway. It's incredible because it's so modular. Like you can buy like the NAS rack mount, you could buy you can get all sorts and just bolt it all onto the cloud gateway. You can have it as like right now. I'm not even running it with a drive in it. I have like different stuff on it. But when I first got it, it was like cloud gateway, NIC Giga switches, racially ambiguous switches to rest of house. The cloud gateway. Yeah, you can scale it as small as you want or go as big as you want. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. Let me go back to what I was asking. So, if you're into watching YouTube or content creators in general, AI is a very interesting, polarizing subject, and we're all really sick of it because AI is in everything. Did you know that this coffee contains like some percentage of AI, apparently? If this was promoted at CES, they would say that, which is incredible. But where do you draw the line? At what point do you say, okay, I don't want the creator using AI for their process? Like, I don't know. I'm asking this to viewers who are not necessarily content creators because you guys are the people I'm making videos for. I have something I use AI for, but it's not really obvious, and I'm not actually me. I've had the UDM SC for 4 years now, lol, but yes, I would probably not buy it now. It also runs Protect for me with 8 cameras. Yeah, you can run Unify Protect on the Cloud Gateway. The only thing is that you're limited to the NVMe slot that's in the Cloud Gateway fiber. But I mean, you can throw a 2 terabyte in there if you wanted to, if you're willing to pay SSD prices right now, or NVMe prices, because, yeah, that's spicy at the moment. But yeah, like you can. I think they have Unify has that kit now that comes with the 4 cameras and the what is it? The viewport, the HDMI viewport. It comes on it, so you don't have to buy the extra accessory, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I want to start this conversation about like content creation, AI space content creation, because I'm curious about how I'm going to proceed with this channel and what I'm going to get away with and still be ethical. Because I want to put out more content, but I don't want to put out slop. You know what I mean? Let's see if anybody chimes in. Still happy with my UDM. Okay, here we go. Actical Marine says, I'm still happy with my UDM. Like I said earlier, I'm working in none of it, and I need at least 3 weeks of storage retention for my CCTV. I didn't want a small NVMe drive. That's fair. Especially at the price of NVMe right now. I get it. That's totally fair. I think most would say we're watching here to see you and your unique personality, not a variant of that. I wouldn't change my personality. Since you're in Apple Land, do you do anything with Home Assistant? Okay. What is going to break if I do this right now? Okay, so to answer your question, can I do this without doxing myself? I have a Google Nest. Yeah, I think I can get away with this. So let's go to my overhead. All right. So I have a Google Nest, which is not compatible with Apple HomeKit. But I can control the thermostat. And the reason I have the temperature so friggin' high is because it's so friggin' cold outside. Yeah, it's stupid. But yeah, I'm running Home Assistant on a different computer, and it runs great. Like I have smart plug. I bought a bunch of smart plugs that are the wrong protocol. They're not HomeKit, so they didn't work. And I'm like, okay, well, I have a Home Assistant. They're Casa smart plugs, and That's this whole set. If I say a certain command to SIRI, I'm doing you a favor by if you have devices that are voice activated by SIRI. It got activated the other day by the word really, which drove me nuts. But anyway, don't even think about it. Yeah, I was able to throw it all on Home Assistant. It's great. So let's see. I come for the dry humor. Yeah. I can get very sarcastic. I have to be very careful. I got to filter myself because if you watch the Elgato prompter video, I went off on them. I went off on them because they literally, Elgato commented on the first video I did about voice sync and the prompter. And then they did it just to get clout from the people who saw that video. And they were like, yeah, we're just not going to answer him anymore. I was like, F you guys. So I went off in that latest video. It trips up whenever my wife says, "Oh, my phone's in D&D." Sorry for everybody here. Well, my wife says seriously. I've had the TV, somebody say something on TV that's like seriously, and then it's like I'm not even paying attention, and then stupid iDevice is like, I didn't quite get that. Every time it does that, I'm like, I'll ask it something, and I'm like, hey, what's the weather outside? And it's like, I'm a computer. I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, it drives me nuts. I'm all Apple and SIRI sucks. Can't wait for Gemini to be integrated. Yeah, I hear you. Although I am a little not nervous about the privacy implications because Apple's going to go pure like wall on that. Okay, about AI, I'm okay with AI if that makes your work easy. Okay, so I was working with a developer. Yeah, a developer. Like that's what you would call him. And he came up with this app. And I didn't want to disclose what this app was because this was his creation. Oh. Why does it randomly just... Speaking of AI, here, I'm going to show you guys something. Let's go to iPad for a sec. Okay. If you look in the corner, if my big ass head wasn't blocking it, let me just get rid of myself here. One moment. Okay. So if you look in the corner, right down here, it's holding for review. Okay. So I'm going to show the comment. But that's AI at its absolute best. Like, okay, why are we suddenly just cherry picking what we're going to hold for review? AI drives me crazy. I'm ready to smash it when it says I'll send that to your iPhone. Yeah, you got games on your phone? That's a fun. I can't show this. I need another camera. I've already got 2 of these S5 IIs and the overhead. I need another one so I can like tour the studio because to your left, my right, there's a projector screen. There's like I've got an Optima, was the UHD 51A. It's a 4K pixel shift projector. And Jerry was setting up everything. And I had the Apple TV, Jerry from BTL Custom, who's in the chat. This is back in 2019. And, like, look, at the time, we're in our 30s, but we're still effing children, right? So he's on a ladder trying to like balance the projector, and we've got the Apple TV plugged in, just running whatever, playing content or whatever. And, of course I AirPlay my phone to the Apple TV and go to the camera, and I'm like, you got games on your phone? And he's just dying laughing, nearly falls off a ladder. It was the whole thing. Yeah, sorry. So Duke Seb says, I'm ready to smash it when it says I'll send that to your iPhone. Oh, man. Apple kills me. Sorry, I was going to say about, I started this whole story about the developer. The developer makes an app. And I didn't want to say what it was publicly because this was his creation. But like, I've emailed Homeboy. He ain't answer me. And frankly, Final Cut added something that can make this a lot easier. And Ben, if you're watching this, like, I don't want to say what it is, but he basically made an app that where while I'm recording a video, I can say key phrases. So let's say I'm recording and I'm saying a take or whatever, and I'm like, oh crap, I effed up, or oh crap, like I've got a stain on this shirt or whatever. I don't know. There's some reason that I have to redo the take. Well, you say a key phrase, and then when you're done and you got that part of the video right, you can pause for a sec, which I do for J cuts, and then you can say another key phrase. And then what happens is you basically take the audio, or you take the video and you plug it into the software that he made, and it would add markers in Final Cut to tell me what the good takes were using an LLM. It's like a transcription to LLM situation. That is the extent of AI. Oh, sorry, no. And I've been using it to come up with concepts for thumbnails. I only had it generate parts of one thumbnail. That was the last video that went up about Creator Studio. Let's see. But yeah, that's I'm tired of smart Wi-Fi switch plug and moving next summer. My next home's gonna run on all Zigbee, Z-Wave, Ethernet locally, no more cloud. Yeah, like I'm running like Home Assistant's pretty good for that, but unfortunately Nest has to touch the cloud. And also Lutron. Yeah, so speaking of Lutron, what's it called? BTL Custom and another mutual friend of ours came and they installed a Lutron switch there, a Lutron switch over by the entrance of this room, another Lutron switch for the chandelier up front, and all of it's going into it's going into like the cloud gateway and like a gigabit port. Or no, I think it's going into the NIC Giga. It's going into something, but either way, Lutron's amazing because if the internet goes down, it still works. It's got its own dedicated hub, which is pretty sick. Love Lutron. Want to get the blinds, but can't justify it. Another, speaking of blinds and Lutron and all that, another company reached out to the channel. They wanted me to review their blinds. And I was like, are they smart blinds? Because if they're not smart blinds, I'm not doing it because that doesn't even appeal to anybody on my channel. And then no response. So I'm like, yeah, you just wanted me to review your blinds. You guys are weird. But I was saying about the content creation AI thing. So yeah, that app is super handy because it makes like editing your videos once you babble at a camera for like an hour. It makes it super quick to cut it down, which is like part of the big problem with content creation is trying to find your good takes, but this actually makes it really easy. But like, I don't know what else I would use AI wise for videos. I don't want to be doing animations and, I don't want to be generating video with, a VO or like, all this other crap. It's too weird. AI is it's in a weird spot right now. I saw recently, somebody did a documentary and they did it all with AI, and you can still tell, but at the rate it's going at by next year, it could be like damn near perfect for video generation, which is scary. That ish is very scary. Let's see. Oh, let's talk about the Gemini thing. I don't know how I totally feel about it because I know part of the reason that SIRI is so stupid is because it tries to do everything on device without touching any kind of cloud. Every time I bring up a new topic, a new chat comes in. That's so funny. Let's do the chat. Duke Seb says, are you using Final Cut Pro, DaVinci, or Premiere? I refuse to give Adobe my money unless I absolutely have to. DaVinci looks cool, but I've been on Final Cut since... I was on Final Cut 7 originally. Not for very long. And then Final Cut 10 came out, and then I moved over and learned that. Now I'm very fast in Final Cut 10. So I am a Final Cut 10 boy. Unfortunately, that means that I have no ability to edit video with transcripts, and color grading is like making deals with Jesus. So there's that. But I mean, like what you're looking at right now was a LUT that I made with Color Finale. I bought Color Finale Pro, and then I made a LUT. And then a LUT, for those who don't know, is a lookup table. It's kind of like, this is blasphemy, I'm going to say it. It's kind of like an Instagram filter, but for professionals. Oh, that felt like dirty. Anyway, the lookup table, I installed it on my monitor, so when I'm like filming, this is the look I like. It doesn't burn into the video, so like I shoot in a log or a ProRes RAW depending on what workflow I'm doing. But it's just a way for me to get a general idea of like my white balance, the way the shot's supposed to look. I use it for monitoring, and apparently that's what I'm using to run the live stream because I'm outputting the LUT from the monitor. I'm not using OBS to apply the LUT. What do you think about the new Apple Creator Studio? Do you think it will screw us in the future? Well, it's kind of funny that you asked that because if you were to go to the channel and go to, oh look, he's live streaming. If you go to videos, you might notice this video that says 3D chess move. And it's a picture of the Creator Studio logo and Tim Cook looking menacing. So the reason that video exists is my thoughts on Creator Studio. Not in terms of Creator Studio as as whether or not it's going to screw us in the future. It's more of Apple's business play and what they're doing. So that video is kind of a fun watch. It's a short one. What is it like? Yeah, it's like 5 minutes and change. I don't think it's going to screw us in the future. I think Apple, I hope it doesn't go the way of the HomePod. And if you know what I'm talking about, if you don't, I'll explain it quick. The HomePod, it's one of those devices they released and then it became like abandonware. And the Apple TV, before they launched the service, literally was heading the same way because for the longest time, the Apple TV didn't get anything meaningful. I mean, most of their resources for Apple TV is going towards programming now and like, movies like F1 and like, what's the show everybody's on about? Well, morning show, but what's the other one? Help me out in the chat if you know the name of the show. It's an Apple TV show. The guy from Parks and Rec's in it. It's like the techie show, the sci-fi show. I can't think of the name of it offhand. I haven't seen it yet, but they're putting all their resources into like the TV side of it. They're putting it into that. I just hope they don't like shovelware, like they are abandoned. That's what it is. I hope it's not abandonware. Like they're talking about not Ted Lasso. No, the sci-fi one. It was on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it. Not all Apple first-gen products are abandonware. I'll disagree with you there, Duke Seb. Like the M1 MacBook, not abandonware. You know what I mean? For like the M1 MacBook was their first gen of that MacBook, not abandonware. Trying to think of other examples. The Apple Watch did pretty good in the beginning. The Apple TV, well, that was a Steve Jobs era. Maybe in the Tim Cook era, you might be right. I don't know. The M1 MacBook, though, that's where I would say, not Silicon Valley. I'm going to look this up. It's going to bother me. Let's see. Before I even typed it, Severance. That's the show I'm thinking of. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but yeah, that's an Apple TV show that got a pretty high budget. Yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, you were saying about all Apple first-gen products are the Series 0. Oh, yeah. Well, it was the Series 0. That's fair. I feel like there's... Okay, no. Hang on. The HomePod, abandonware, for sure. The Magic Mouse should have been abandonware from the customer standpoint. Some people are going to disagree with me with that. I use Logitech MX Master. That's a 3S. I have a 4 in the studio. Those are great. Yeah, BTL Custom agrees with you, Duke. Bastards proving me wrong. No, you know what? There are some. I feel like there has to be some. I'm a fan of never buying the first generation of something. Like, I didn't get Apple Silicon until this M3 Max, which even then it was out for a few months. Yeah, it was great as a third generation. I love it. You know, it's not the fastest computer I own. I have an M4 Max, but this thing is again with the buzzwords, it's a beast. It's insane. The MX Master 3, yes, it is top notch. It's so top notch that
if you are debating buying the MX4, don't even bother. I can spoil the whole video. I was planning for it now. Maybe that's what these live streams are, spoiling videos. They put an extra button on it for their I don't even know what the hell it's called. Logitech has a stupid name for this new feature. It's like a pop-up window. It's kind of like the iPad Pencil where like you squeeze and then like new features come up. Same idea. But right after they released the MX Master 4, these F-holes decided to do a software update to give you the same functionality on the MX Master 3S, thus defeating the whole purpose. I mean, yeah, you get an extra button, but like, what are they? Stupid. And then the other thing is that floating. I'm not even going to look it up. It's not even worth looking up. But that floating menu that comes up when you press that button, really, it was a partnership with Adobe because all the Adobe apps work with it. But like, it was based on their. I mean, okay, wait. We're gonna dig into this in a second. Yeah, like their app where when you click the overfloating menu thing, it was based on the software API for people to pick it up and start going crazy with it. I don't think anybody's done it. And that thing's been out since what, September, October? All right, let's get to your latest comment, Duke. I mean, the first iPod, the iMac, the iPhone, the iPad. Okay. Yes, I get what you're saying. Vision Pro's not abandoned. AirPods Max, not abandoned. They just added USB-C. iPad, yeah, I'll agree with that. First iPhone, I get it. iTools, .Mac, and MobileMe, yeah, okay, those I get. iTools, jeez. .Mac, MobileMe, wow. Xgrid, I mentioned that in a video recently. There's a lot of stuff. Okay, maybe first gen stuff. See, when I think of first gen stuff, like we're thinking of it fundamentally differently because to me, first gen, like when they went from PowerPC to Intel, that was first gen Intel. Like I guess you're saying overall product, so I guess you're right. I don't know. Okay, maybe you're right. I don't know. To me, when I think of first gen, I think of first gen of like, I still use my .Mac email as a rite of passage. Nice. Yeah, like I think of first gen in terms of like big iterative change. So for me, the M1 Max, yes, the MacBook existed, but because the architecture was such a drastic shift from Intel, I didn't know if I could trust it. And that's how I view first gen. Is like, okay, can I trust this yet? Because we're emulating x86 now, and we're going to rely on Apple Silicon. There are some things that they abandoned that I'm glad they abandoned, like the touch bar. The touch bar was useless. Like, what the hell were they thinking? Well, if people like the phone and the pad, then like the keyboard. Shut up. Like, no. Yeah, the touch bar was bad. The touch bar was bad because it was attached to the USB bus. And I know this because if I DJ'd a gig, if I unplugged my DJ controller before I closed Serato, the DJ software I use, the touch bar would crash. And when the touch bar crashed, the computer wouldn't shut down. Drove me nuts. And it did it from, I had a 2017 and then I had a 2020. Both of those machines had the same problem. So that was complete abandonware, but I'm glad they just decided to like EOL, end of life it. Yeah. Yeah, the M1. Well, yeah, there's that too. The touch bar was bad because no companies, no developers, nobody really bought into it. But even Apple themselves, while they might have had like first party stuff that worked with the touch bar, the problem is it was just a buggy nightmare. And then like I remembered once I stupidly before I got Apple Silicon, I tried to upscale something using Topaz during the beta on my i9, and some pop-up or something started playing in the background in Safari, and I had a touch bar Mac, and the problem was I had the upscale running, and the fans are going crazy. Like this thing's like concert crowd level loud, just screaming like the fans. And whatever was playing in the background on Safari, I was out of the room, and then I guess the volume was all the way up. So it starts playing, so I run back in the room to turn down the volume, but it's the stupid touch bar. But because the computer was maxed out in terms of like its utilization with Topaz, I'm trying to get the touch bar up to turn the volume down, and then it's not happening. And I swear, like maybe like 20 minutes later, I was upstairs grabbing a bite, and I opened Reddit, and the first thing I see is, why do people hate on the touch bar so much? I nearly threw my effing phone out the window. I was so mad. I was like, no. I honestly thought the touch bar was a test for an all-touch keyboard. We all did. There's a lot of things that Apple scares me with when they do certain things. Like, okay, let's ask this. This idea that a MacBook is coming with a touchscreen, what do you think? If they can solve the hinge moving and they don't make it super reliable, like if I pull this computer here and I start touching the screen, like you see it's moving, right? Like if they could solve that, but then still give you the macOS experience, but without necessarily like having touchability, but not necessarily needing to touch the screen, I'd be down with that. Because I mean, look, we got tandem OLED in the iPad and the M4 and M5 iPads, iPad Pros. So that's probably the same tech they're gonna bring to the MacBook. I don't know. Are we getting touchscreen MacBooks? I don't know. Apple is very, very odd with how they plan stuff. I hear my neighbor shoveling outside. Yeah. All-touch keyboard would have been terrible. Agreed. I don't want... See, and you know what the thing is that it's not that I don't want it to be touch. I have no need for a touchscreen MacBook. Like, I love using the trackpad, and I'm one of those weird people that uses the trackpad and the mouse. When in my studio, I actually have the trackpad below my Keychron keyboard, and then I put my mouse to the side. So I do that because if I go work remotely, there's no muscle memory thing. Unlike Marquez, who puts like the trackpad like next to the keyboard and then the mouse on the side. And I'm like, you're effing weird. Why do you do that? I don't have a problem with it being touch, but don't make me use the touch functionality. You know, like that was my problem with the touch bar. It's like, okay, so I've got this music blasting and I can't turn it down because the effing computer's like pinned CPU wise. And you're making me use this piece of crap touch bar. Back with a touchscreen, nah, that won't happen. See, that's what I thought. I thought that, but okay. Let me show you what's got me a little worried here. Okay. Go back to iPad. Okay. So if I were to, I don't know if one sec. Yeah, okay, I don't know if Actico Marines, I don't know if you have an iPad, but iPad OS drives me crazy. If I can pull this off, why would it let me? I'll double tap. You see the bar right there? The stoplights in the corner? When you see stuff like that, or like if I attach the keyboard, whoops, I'm struggling. Yeah, if I attach the keyboard and the trackpad, or if I pull out where is it? I have it here. Yeah, if I attach this thing, this magic keyboard, you have your Command Q, although I want to do a full review of this iPad and iPad OS 26 because I want to title that video, if macOS was defective, it would be iPad OS 26. Because there is some weirdness. Like on Mac, you hit Command Q to close an app. But on iPad, Command Q is almost like Command W on macOS. Unless you're in Safari. because Command W actually closes apps fully on the iPad, where Command Q closes them, but they're still kind of open, like macOS where you press Command W, but the Q doesn't close the app fully. But if you saw my monitor video, I had the math stuff going up when I was trying to figure out the monitor. Same thing. Let's see. Yeah, BTL Custom said, yeah, all touch would be terrible. Mac with touchscreen, now that won't happen. Okay, so the escape button on the touch bar was my biggest annoyance. That whenever I needed to use a function key. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like when, again, volume cranked, can't like turn it down because God forbid we get buttons to do basic things, you know. It's like the Teslas with the capacitive buttons for the wipers. Like it's a safety feature. No, just give me normal like handle or actual buttons. I don't like this capacitive stuff in cars because like if you live in Canada, it gets cold. You know, you might be wearing gloves. You know, it's a thing, right? I own iPads since the launch in 2010, but I never run them with keyboards. Right. That's the thing, is that they've made it so, to your point about touchscreen Macs, and this is kind of the thinking that Duke was saying about like the test of the touch bar being a test for a touch keyboard. Well, here's the thing, is that if you open iPad OS and you happen to have a keyboard and a trackpad, it's like neutered Mac OS. It's really weird. Things I don't like, and for the life of me, can't effing figure this out. I'm doing my best not to cuss on stream. Bear with me. But you cannot eject a drive, at least in the official public release of iPadOS right now. And I've heard people say you don't need to eject drives anymore. Yeah, okay, asshat. Do professional video workload, film a client shoot, or do something important, and not realize that the drive is still writing to or that the camera or whatever you're using is still writing to the disk, and pull that and tell me everything on the drive doesn't get corrupted, or at least the important stuff you need from that shoot doesn't get corrupted. I'll wait. You know, it's when these kids are pulling USB for like their Word document or like, you know, some music or whatever, they pull their drive out, everything's fine, sure. But in Pro Spaces, you want the ability to eject. The fact that iPad is aiming itself at creatives and doesn't have an actual eject button is absolutely insane to me. I want to go back to something Duke asked me about Creator Studio, I believe it was. Was it Duke who asked me? Yes, it was. Okay. I think that was the whole root of this tangent. I think that Creator Studio could be really cool. I think it's a gateway for students for sure. If you watch the video I just did, that kind of goes down that rabbit hole. Okay. I haven't had, every time I'm going to get back on point about the touchscreen. Maybe in 10 to 20 years, Macs and iPad lineups could merge. Now we're going to see touch Macs. Yeah, I could see that. I don't know. I'm old guy yelling at clouds right now. I don't like change. Just, you know, I'm that guy at the moment. The simple turn off the iPad, then pull. What? It's simple. Turn off the iPad and pull it out. Yikes. I like that YouTube didn't hold that comment for review. That's awkward. Yeah. Okay. I haven't had an iPad since 2014. That was the last iPad I bought. Fun fact about that iPad too is that all the continuity features between macOS and iPad, the last, is it iPadOS or iOS or whatever, the FOS, whatever the hell they were calling it back then, didn't support Sidecar and Universal Control and all that stuff. So I never got to use that stuff until I got this thing. Where Creator Studio is a little interesting is one of the use cases I want to use on the iPad is to make thumbnails. Because videos, you can make the best video in the world, right? But if nobody's clicking on the video, then what the hell does it matter? So I actually want to like take some time. I have an Apple Pencil, which conveniently, hilariously fell behind the table, so I have to get that after. But I want to use the iPad for things like creating thumbnails. But then I got to go buy like what is it, Procreate or whatever the like. You can get Pixelmator, but it's part of Apple Creator Studio. You know, I believe if you use Late Night Films transfer toolbox, you can transfer between Final Cut for iPad and Final Cut Pro for the Mac. You can jump between, but there's like some limitations in doing that. Obviously, like most of your Final Cut plugins that are third party are not going to work across it. I think there's something to do with the event structure in Final Cut. I got to look into it more. I haven't tried it yet, but I've never used outside of when I was at Apple in 2023. I never used Final Cut for iPad except during like a session. So I'm interested in that. I think it's going to be interesting for Creator Studio to like have this ability to access all these apps. My understanding is that your projects won't break if your subscription lapses. So like say you had like a Final Cut project and you use some of their premium content like titles or transitions or stuff like that. I believe you can still export the project, but you can't. The project becomes locked, like protected, like you can't do anything beyond that. There's some weird bugs in Final Cut 12, by the way. I'm having a couple of weird ones creep up. I'm in the Discord for Command Post. If you don't know what Command Post is and use Final Cut, you need Command Post. The thing is insane. Us yelling about a touch Mac might turn out like when everyone thought the iPhone would fail without a keyboard. Okay, that's a stretch. And I'm going to say why. More people have, I'm not going to say more. A surprising amount of people have phones but don't have computers. Right? My mom has an iPad. My mom has a phone. She doesn't have like a current computer. Doesn't need one. So the thing is that I think Apple knows that. Like, look, I'll go to Starbucks and work, and I see students all the time with the Folio, right, with the keyboard case for their iPad. There would have to be a compelling reason to drastically shift the MacBook, or like a Mac, or just like an iMac. Although, you know what? And speaking of might. I don't know if it might. I don't know if it. I think it's a little too nuanced. I think it's too niche. Because the Mac is not Apple's moneymaker. Like, this is, right? The iPhone, the services, that stuff. I don't know. I don't think a big segment of Apple's overall revenue is Mac. Like, it might be a substantial, but I won't say that. It won't be, and the reason I'm saying this is based on your comment, because you said it might turn out when everyone thought the iPhone would fail. The thing is, the Mac, I don't think that it has the install base of something like a phone, right? A phone is a very personal item. You carry it with you. You take it with you everywhere, right? I think that the Mac is one of those things that, like, there's kind of a friction point of just, taking it out. Like if you're in public and you get your backpack or your sleeve or whatever, like there's this like friction point of pulling the Mac out and using it, where like a phone is like in your pocket, right? I think that it would have to be something, they would have to do some kind of R&D in terms of software, which they might have been doing with Tahoe. Who knows? I don't know what Apple's thinking. But there's got to be some level of R&D to make this like a very, God, I hate this term, game-changing possibility. So I get what you're saying, though. We could be sitting here going like, we're the old people yelling at the clouds. Like, I don't know. You can't change it. But then it turns out that they do something absolutely revolutionary with it, and everybody starts buying up Macs. Like, probably right, but I would like to see Apple. Yeah, we all would. Duke Seb says, you're probably right, but I would like to see Apple make something ridiculous again. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, it'd be nice. Like the Vision Pro was such a miss. Because and why and this is the thing with Apple, and I think this is the thing that Apple needs to realize. They don't realize how dickheadish they actually look, like how arrogant they can be. Because they were very adamant that we are not going to call this virtual reality. Well, then what the hell is it? Because, like, what? Because other companies are creating VR headsets, you're not going to call yours VR? Maybe get your head out of your ass and say to yourself, well, wait, we're Apple. If we enter VR and call it VR because we're Apple, people are going to set the bar really high. So let's knock it out of the park. And let's be clear, Apple was extremely late to the, mixed reality, whatever the hell they want to name it. They're really late to that game. Let's see, in 2025, iPhone services, wearables, home, other hardware. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, in terms of percentage, yeah, you can see it right here. I don't. Actical Marines, I don't know if it's going to let you paste the link. You could try. I'd love to see a link for that. Without Steam, the Vision Pro is useless. Yeah, and that's sad. You know what I thought? I thought for sure, and I did a video about this in July, and it's about the new, the low-cost rumored MacBook for, the MacBook for kids, essentially. The Chromebook competitor. They were pushing Apple Arcade like crazy. They were pushing Apple Arcade like nuts. And yet, what ended up happening was they did nothing with it. That's kind of abandonware. Like they're putting stuff on it, but it's not like where it needs to be. If you think about it, the games on Apple Arcade, and some of them are pretty intensive graphically, not like some are AAA. I don't even know what's considered AAA anymore because we're segmented to all hell because of all these graphics card companies. But topic for another day. They can run some pretty demanding games. Like the iPhone 16 Pro, which is what I have, can run some pretty significantly, processor intensive, graphics intensive games. So if you threw that in a low cost MacBook, that would be cool. Where I thought it was interesting, wasn't Apple Arcade for the Apple? It still is. Yeah. Sage Grewal. Sage, is this like Sage? Like, do I know you like in my personal life, Sage? Let me know. Yeah, Apple Arcade was for the Apple TV as well. It's interesting because, like, you can pair like Bluetooth controllers, like PlayStation, Xbox, and all that. What I find interesting was there was a toolkit. I sent the link, but YouTube redacted it. Yeah, it didn't even come up on my end. I wonder if the useless dashboard is done being useless. Okay, without doxing myself, I actually want to show you guys this. This is unbelievable. Yeah, I'm not doxing myself. Check this out. I need to rant for a second. It's set to live chat. I said at the top chat, look at this. All right, I'm gonna cuss just once on stream. YouTube, what the fuck are you doing? Like, come on. You make how much money and you can't fix simple things like this? Anyway. Oh, okay, yeah, so it is you. Hey, Sage, it's popping. Everyone wants a 2015 with an M series. That machine was so cool. Okay, I have some thoughts about this. I know why everybody wants a 2015 MacBook. Actually, wait, before I tangent there, ADHD brain, let me go back to this Apple Arcade thing, because I'm going to forget. Here's the thing with Apple Arcade. When Apple Silicon came out, they released a game porting toolkit, if you guys remember this. The game porting toolkit was an interesting proposition because it basically allowed you to port your Windows games and convert them to Metal and do all the fun programming behind that to make it work. That app is a Windows app. And it's not, like, just don't take my word for it. Look it up. Like, it was a Windows app where you could move your OpenGL, OpenCL. I don't even know which architecture it is on Windows. But anyway, whatever pipeline it was, you could convert it and start working with Metal. It was the Metal porting toolkit or something like that. So I thought for sure when I heard this rumor about the Chromebook competitor that I'm like, yeah, they're going after kids. And that's partly what the other video was about. But Apple Arcade, it's like they missed the mark. Like, you release Vision Pro and you're like, okay, we've got this. It's not VR, but it's VR headset. What do people use VR headsets for typically? As it was said earlier, without Steam, the Apple Vision Pro is completely useless. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to sit here and edit in Final Cut with my Vision Pro on. I know, like, there are creators, like I think iPhone does and like a few other people, and that just sounds weird. But, yeah. Let's see. Oh, right. Okay, yeah. So that's my thing on Vision Pro. Regarding the 2015 MacBook with an M series. Okay. The M1 Pro and Max body that we have now, like that iteration of the MacBook Pro, is fine. I'll go a little hot take here and say it's better. Because people are so mad about USB-C. USB-A started in the late 90s. Let's really think about this. And not foregoing the stupidity that is the lineup of different types of USB-C. Like, you've got USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 2 by FU and all that, right? Not foregoing that. I am just happy that we have MacBooks that have 3 ports plus MagSafe. So you've got 3 full ports to work with. But you also have HDMI and the card reader and the headphone jack. Like, that's fine. I think we need to get over USB-A. Because the other problem is, and this is something I've ran into. Coffee break. Oh, that's nice and cold now. You see the cam link? This thing? Hopefully this doesn't destroy the stream. Okay. The cam link does not work in my Thunderbolt dock. The Thunderbolt dock, with the extra hub I have on there, which is separately powered and can do 15 watts. Is YouTube doing this thing again where I have to refresh the page? Because I feel like it is. Yep. Oh, YouTube, get it together. Yeah. The cam link doesn't work through my Thunderbolt hub, which is self-powered. That hub is going into a Thunderbolt dock via Thunderbolt. Sure. Dock and hub both have mains power. The hub sends 15 watts. For some reason, the cam link just loses power. But I have to plug it directly into the side of the MacBook. If I try to use a hub or a Thunderbolt dock, it's not happening. So USB-A, yes, it can deliver that power, but you're not going to get the data with it. There's a lot of limitations with USB-A. I think people need to get over. I think Apple, I'll give them this. It was super aggressive when they rolled out the original, what was it called? The MacBook, and it had one port and all you could do was plug in power. Just stupid. That was super aggressive. But the 2016 MacBook Pros that were all USB-C, it was aggressive, but I think more manufacturers should have followed suit and let people complain and cry about it. 2015, super thin. Oh, sorry, I was thinking the MacBook Pro. Okay, I think we were talking about different computers. The 2015 MacBook was super thin and light and underpowered by a Celeron. It was the first machine to be featured the butterfly keyboard. I am so glad that thing's gone. Okay, what I was referring to was the final MacBook with USB-A, which was the 2015 MacBook Pro. That's what. Sorry, the final MacBook, not Mac, because you can still get like newer Macs with at least one USB A, I believe, like a Mac Mini or something. Um, but so this is the thing: the 2015 MacBook, the super thin and light, underpowered by a Celeron. What if you put the A18 chip from the iPhone 16 Pro Max into that body and sold it as a Chromebook competitor? Because that's the rumor. And I firmly believe that's what they're going to do. And hopefully it has more than one blasted USB-C port on it. That's my opinion. Yeah, I think your wish might come true. You might get an updated version of that. Probably like a 12-inch, 13-inch, whatever. They're going to go after the Chromebook market. And if you watch the Creator Studio video I just put up, I talk about all that. That video for 5 minutes is pretty densely packed. But yeah, that's my opinion on that. So, Duke, you might get your wish. That might come back. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be M series. I think it's going to be like Apple A series. Yes, that's what I want. Yeah, and that's probably what you're going to get. I actually believe that one. I've had this thought. The video I posted about this originally was from July of last year, and the rumors are getting stronger. When I did that video, I wasn't talking about the Creator Studio side of it. The Creator Studio side of it makes this even more interesting. Again, watch the video if you haven't already. The one I did in July was more aimed around Apple Arcade and, positioning that. But Creator Studio, because kids love gaming and a lot of kids want to be content creators. And I said in that video, if you're Apple and you are seeing all these kids growing up and getting into the workforce and their only real experience with a portable computer that was theirs was either on the Windows platform or on the Chrome OS platform, then you're missing out on potential revenue later. Because think about it. If I'm like, 12 years old and I got a Mac, right? Or some iteration of Mac OS, and I use that through high school, which that's the other weird thing. They're not really going after high school kids, which, to be honest, Apple should be targeting that audience. I'm being very careful how I word this because this could come off in the wrong connotation entirely. But if Apple were to, position themselves for that market and be like, hey, use Mac OS or iPad OS or iOS or whatever OS that Apple's putting out, you are more likely when you're in the workforce and you're starting to make money that when you need to buy new tech hardware, because you're so engrossed in that ecosystem from young and you're comfortable in it, what are you going to buy? You're probably going to buy a MacBook. You're probably going to buy an iPad or a phone or all three or a HomePod for some reason. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of my hot take. I have been streaming for 2.5 hours. That wasn't part of the plan, gang. That was not. But. And yes, Sage, this is a Timmy's cup. Listen. Starbucks is far from here. On a day where I refuse to leave the house. Tell me about it. I was teaching 20-year-old CCNA, and they didn't understand anything because all they have used was a phone. Yeah, because, look, the iPhone might be everywhere, but it's not accessible to everybody. Like, if you go into lower income areas of the world, it's predominantly Android. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just more accessible. And Apple being divas is like, we're going to price our stuff to the moon. It's like, well, yeah, that's fine for making money, but you're not thinking about the fact that inaccessibility doesn't mean impoverished areas. Inaccessibility means like, hey, people that don't have crazy expendable income are not going to have access to your devices. And when they start getting expendable income, they're not going to be trained on your devices because you left it inaccessible. Apple. That's fair. The weather out here is pretty nasty. Yeah, it's not great. Yeah. And by the way, Sage, before you say anything, I'm not doxing where I live. I know Sage in real life. He works at an establishment that I frequent. Yeah. Let's see. That's how I got introduced to Toyota. Yeah. Yeah, see the Attico Marines. You're saying it too. Like, it's it's one of those things that, like, if you don't make something accessible, or as some pundits would call it, like low-hanging fruit, right? Whatever you want to refer to it as. At the end of the day, like, if you don't have people learning your platform and you're not thinking about the future in that way, because kids don't have money unless they're born into it, really, or they worked really hard and saved, right? But then if they're doing that, they're not buying like iPhones. An iPhone is kind of an inaccessible product, especially a good one that can do some of this content creation stuff, right? Like, yeah. Yeah, I'm probably going to jump off soon because the coffee got cold and I got a little tired, and yeah, it's all good. LOL. Yeah. Where we are, yesterday was in the morning. I want to say it was minus 24 with a wind chill of minus 36. 0 stars. Do not recommend. Awful. But yeah, I'm going to jump off in a few minutes. But yeah, that's the thing, is accessibility, as Actico Marine said. And Duke, to be honest, that's the part about Creator Studio that excites me. To go back to the root of this tangent, I think it could create some interesting possibilities of collaboration, interesting workflows. Like I said, I want to use my iPad for thumbnail design, and I really want to dig in deep and do little spice up things on the channel and try different creative things. And I like, with the new iPad, I get a 3-month free trial of Creator Studio. I haven't activated it yet, but I might do that later today. And just get to work. I also think that the pricing for Creator Studio, if you didn't know, yeah, we'll jump off soon, Duke. Yeah, like, I want to use it to like get a little more creative and help my workflow as well. So that's why the iPad is going to be super handy for that. So we'll talk about that in a video soon. I was supposed to film a video yesterday, but I was gassed. I was finished after I was finished work. Let's see here. Back in the day, we used to have iPods for kids. Yeah. It was the gateway. And now look at it, like back in the day. So you're thinking like what, 2003, 2002, 2004, like that era? And look, now we're all sitting here with like iPhones and Macs because we grew up and we got expendable income, right? Like at that time, I was like early 20s, right? I just doxed my age. Whatever. Yeah. So, yeah, again, make something accessible and then build brand loyalty from them. And they got a reset. Although they're not going after the high school market, which is very interesting. They should, because that's where you start making formative decisions about like what you're going to do with life in general. Why not have a piece of influence in there? Just saying. It's probably good. I need to make a pie crust and you're keeping me from it. Sorry, Duke. My bad. Yeah, I'm probably going to jump off actually because, yeah, I'm actually starting to get hungry. Need some lunch. I've been up since like 6. And I had a croissant to start the day. So, yeah, I need to eat something. Yeah, so I'm glad that, yes, we talked about Bell quite a bit, but we actually had a conversation that wasn't Bell Fiber to the Home related for the majority of the stream. I don't know. Should I keep posting Apple content or like my analytical content? Because I like that there's like a little narrative starting here. I didn't get to talk about Prompter because I don't think my channel appeals to enough content creators to merit the teleprompter discussion. But yeah, thank you guys. Honestly, thank you. It's only a couple people watching. I had a little more last week, but at least the video is in 4K now and the audio is 200 times better. I hope that there was no drop frames. OBS says that there were none. I love, like, man, computer's not even warm. The fan's not even on. Or if it's on, it's running like super low RPM. You got to get the 10-year-olds early. That's how I got caught on Apple. Yeah. I mean, it's very hard to read that and keep, context that it's not, a bad thing to be saying out loud. You get what I'm saying. No, honestly, you have to get the children into like Wu-Tang for the children. No, you got just don't talk about anything tech and be sarcastic. Oh, that's the plan. That's my MO. That's why I made. Listen, that's never going to change. Okay. I don't. Okay. So for those who are just listening, let me say this out loud. Duke Seb wrote, dude, just talk about anything tech and be sarcastic. Let me make something clear here. I'm a sarcastic asshole. Sage will tell you this. If Sage ever was like on stream or talking about me, he'd be like, yeah, like Sean from Tech Mixer, he's an ass. Like, it is what it is. There are times, and I want to make this clear too, that if I say something nice about a brand, it's because I friggin' mean it. Oh, I almost cussed there. Like, where is it? The Wavelink. I was saying, where is it? It's connected. It's connected to this thing. So this is the Wavelink, the USB C to 2.5 gigabit Ethernet and various ports. It's been running HDMI out perfectly fine. It's got PD connected to it, power delivery connected to it to charge the iPad. I used to take this to DJ gigs. Something that pisses me off about YouTube, I get it, it's a copyright thing. I used to do live streams from gigs. Like, I would stream to my other Twitch account because Twitch lets you DJ. And I would stream music videos, and I would have my DJ controller sending Siphon to OBS to get the music videos. I'd be using an audio plugin to get the audio from my DJ controller. I would then have a camera, one of the S5 IIs, on an Edelkrone head, like a moving head that would go back and forth, while I would have a switcher, which is the Stream Deck, and I would be tethered to my iPhone from the computer and streaming live, and I would have the HDMI output of my MacBook going to the venue that I was DJing at. And it was sick. And everybody I would do the projector thing in OBS. So whatever you were streaming, you would enable full screen projector out to the monitor, which in this case would be the venue. And any of the scenes I made in OBS, all the animations, all that stuff, like when I make stingers like this, when I go to my overhead camera, right? It's like something like this. Like all this stuff you would see in the venue, right? And it was dope. And I would totally stream it in the venue, no problem. And I would love to show everybody how I did that. The problem is that all the music is copyright, so I can't do it. And that is so freaking annoying. And I really wish that, like, that's a side, I can make videos about that for days, but then I'd be breaking copyright because I'd be playing stuff from like UMG and Warner and Sony, and I'm not going to do that. So, yeah. I don't know. I have a lot of like tech thoughts and sarcasm, but when I praise something, and this goes back to the Wavelink thing, all of that, if you, I'm going to try to show this without breaking anything again. Let's go back to my overhead. Look at the condition of this thing. Like, I don't know if you can see it on camera, got a scuff mark here, got scuffs on the side, the back has seen better days, right? Like, you can hear it. It kind of sounds like crinkly in its own right. But as I did all of that, right, I'm literally looking at the output on screen right now of the iPad, and it's perfectly fine. So if I say something very positive about a brand, it's because I mean it, right? If I'm going to be sarcastic, that's just my personality. If I'm going to go really hard at a company, like I went at Elgato recently, or I went at, what was that piece of shit's company? Ivanki. Yeah. Oh, I cussed again. Who cares? Ivanki. That piece of crap. That thing was awful, right? So if I'm going to go hard at a brand, I'm going to go hard at them. But if I'm going to say something positive, you better damn well believe that I think it's so positive, I would give it to my least tech literate friends and be like, you'll be fine. So that's kind of the take on how I want to be on camera on the channel with videos and all that. So anyway, let's wrap it. I'm going to get out of here. There's food calling me. If you're watching the Super Bowl, because I don't watch football, go sports. I'm like Leonard from Big Bang Theory, but I'm not going to pull my shirt up. So yeah, anyway. My name is Sean. This has been Tech Mixer. Thank you so much for jumping in on stream. I'm going to do the awkward ending of the stream now where I try to freeze myself and make it look somewhat cohesive. So anyway, I am getting on out of here. Have a great Sunday. If it's cold where you are, stay warm. If it's warm where you are, I hate you. And I will see you guys in either the next video or the next live stream. I'm out. Peace. Awkward. Okay, now.